What is going on, guys? Dalton here, back with another episode of DC Collects. Today we're going over the top 5 things that are decreasing the value of your Funko Pops. Let's get collecting. Okay guys, so I was going to put this list numbered 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being, I guess, the least worst, but to be honest, all 5 of these are going to be very important to different collectors that you're going to be trying to sell to, so you could almost say they're all just as important as the other. But starting off, guys, at number 1, we do have the paint job. So the paint job does actually make a huge difference in the value of the Funko Pop, guys, especially in really expensive Funko Pops. If they have a bad paint job, not a lot of collectors like that, and it's going to devalue that pop. The best example I could find for you guys is this Harry Potter pop, and if you see really closely, the gold on his tie does not meet the side of the tie. So that's a super minor paint defect. Like they might even all be like that, and Funko has been getting really good with their quality control, guys, but I just don't have a very good example because I do look for that when I buy pops. I try to make sure I get the best paint job, etc. But if you see, like, say, the black in his eye is bleeding out onto his skin, or maybe the small red details are bleeding into the white of his dress shirt that's underneath his sweater, that's examples of a bad paint job, and that is going to devalue your pop. This is also true for Funko sodas too, guys. So as you can see, this one is done really well too. Like I said, Funko has been getting a lot better, but you will see sodas and pops that get bad. So if any of these lines are super well done, the details on his chest, but if you were to see them bleed into each other or out onto the red or the black onto his hand, that would be an example of a bad paint job. And now that I brought it up, you might look at your pops again and find some defects that you didn't see before. Next up on the list, guys, we have damage, box damage specifically. So especially nowadays with everybody, or a lot more people, being an in-box collector, because that is where the value comes from. An out-of-box pop is typically only worth about 40 to 35% of what an in-box pop would be, a mint condition box, I should say. But not only are we talking about creases, rips, tears in the box, guys, we're also talking about sun fading. So if you keep your pop in the sunlight and it gets sun faded, that's just as bad as a rip or a tear. And we're also talking about humidity to the box. So if you keep your pops in a damp location, like an attic that isn't insulated, or out in the garage where it's not insulated and it's exposed to the elements, it gets really hot in the summer, it gets really cold in the winter, there is going to be moisture that builds up in whatever container or whatever you're storing it in, and you can tell when a box has gotten damp and dried out. So that is also something you have to store your pops good. So protecting your pops is super important, guys. Damage is one of the biggest ones. I have made videos before, but you always keep your pops in protectors. Hard cases, if they're a grail or just super special to you, damage is a massive, massive factor in reducing the price of your Funko Pop. A damaged box Funko Pop will typically sell for about 60% of what its PPG is, or of its fair market value. Next on the list, guys, this is kind of 2 in 1, but this is going to be a re-release or a pop that is super, super similar. So, like, basically doing this, it's the same character, they're in the same pose, it's from the same movie, but they're just coming out with it a lot later. So a great example of that one is the new Matt Murdock pop that's coming out from the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. Everyone's freaking out because everyone's wondering if it's going to devalue the original Matt Murdock pop from the Netflix series Daredevil. So this is a perfect example of that, guys, and this is something that will bring down the value of your Funko Pop if they do come out. But typically when they do this, and not always, but most of the time, the original pop, so in this instance, the Matt Murdock from the Daredevil Netflix series, it will probably go down a little bit when this new Matt Murdock comes out, but then it will slowly work its way back up to where it was, and then maybe even still rise above that, because now the other pop is also so sought after. But there have also been cases where that pop just got devalued. You can't even really watch out for that because Funko's just going to remake what they want to remake, but just keep that in mind when you see a similar pop come out. The same design as one that you have and you thought was worth a lot of money. And then on the re-release side of things, guys, so Funko rarely does this. The best example I can think of is the Star Wars pop. So the original Star Wars pops, so they had the original Star Wars pops, and then years later they came out with a re-release. So they did that because they were so sought after and fans wanted them so badly. But unfortunately, that did bring down the value of the original pops, because you could now you could go get the exact same one. All they did was change the box, and it was for retail. So obviously that's going to bring down the value of the pop if they re-release it. If the pop is vaulted, then they're not supposed to be able to reproduce it. It's supposed to be locked away in the vault and never made again. So that's one thing to look out for, is to see if the pop that you have is vaulted. Then you shouldn't have any worries about them re-releasing that pop. Next up on the list, guys, we have fakes. So this is super unfortunate, guys, and the real unfortunate part is people just keep buying the fakes. Oh, I'm never gonna sell it, I'll never off it. The problem is, even if you are a good person and you buy the fake, if it somehow gets into someone else's hands, then they might try to scam someone. So I'm really against the fakes, guys. You know, just try and get the real Funko Pop, because people are getting scammed out of their hard-earned money. But besides that, this is the metallic red Hulk SDC, limited to 480 pieces, and I have talked about this before, guys, but this pop is severely undervalued because of fakes. So there are so many, like, really good fakes too on the market, guys, of this pop. There's definitely some easy telltale signs right away that it's fake, but to someone new to collecting that didn't know any better, they're probably buying them. But anyway, this pop, it's sitting around $800, guys, but comparably to pops of the same caliber, so like the metallic Ghost Rider, that's limited to 480 pieces, metallic Deadpool, limited to 480 pieces. Pops of the exact same caliber are worth twice as much as this pop, and the entire reason for that is all the fakes on the market. So unfortunately, if the pop you have is highly fake, that is going to affect the value of that pop, because people are so scared to get ripped off, and they know that all those fakes are out there, that people aren't buying the pop, thus driving the price of the pop down. So again, super unfortunate, guys. Definitely hate fakes, but it's a big thing right now, and I really implore you guys after this video to go check out my fake Funko Pop videos in my collecting tips. Just, you might as well watch them. Every little bit of video will help you not get scammed. With the fakes getting so good, it is really affecting the market of some Funko Pops, unfortunately. And next, guys, we're going to be talking about the number of the Funko Pops that were made. So if you buy a common Funko Pop, typically, and this number may have gone up since I last heard this number, but typically they'll make about 60 to 80,000 of a common. So when they're so readily available like that, obviously the price of that pop is going to go down. So even it can be a really popular character from a really popular show, and they're doing the most popular pose that's iconic to that show. If it's just a common Funko Pop and they've made 60 to 80,000 of them, it's going to be really tough for that Funko Pop to work its way up in value. It might even lose value. You might even have trouble getting rid of some commons. So the number of Funko Pops made is a huge factor on how much that Funko Pop is worth. I think that's what's so attractive to me about the limited piece count Funko Pops, is that you know there's only a certain amount made, and you can kind of judge based on how many were made if you think that pop is going to be valuable in the future, and you know there isn't 60,000 of them out there floating around that can drop the price of that Funko Pop. But anyways, guys, those are the 5 things that are decreasing the value of your Funko Pops. I hope you guys got something from this video today. If you did, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I make 4 to 5 videos a week on everything Funko, so if you enjoy stuff like that, make sure to hit the little bell and you won't miss any more content. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video.